Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our reactions to the Canadian Grand Prix qualifying. And what a qualifying it was. That was a very, very fun one. All the way through, there are threats of rain, which in the end don't come to fruition, but they weren't needed because that was a fantastic qualifying without the rain. Before we get into it, make sure you like and subscribe, of course, because we'll have all the coverage of the Canadian Grand Prix, have the race coverage tomorrow, and the driver ratings coming out on Monday. But let's get into it, into Q1. As I said, there are reports of light drops of rain here and there. Another interesting thing about the track is that apparently it's been completely resurfaced, so the track evolution is incredibly high, which leads to a session like this one, where it just seems like everyone is out on the track for as long as they possibly can be, because every lap you set, you are going so much faster. You have that leaderboard on the side, he'll just jumping up and down all the time. There is a moment in here where it looked like it was impeding Hamilton and Yuki impeding Oscar Piastri, but that has come back with no further investigation. At the end of Q1, though, these are the guys who are out. So it's Zhou in 20th, another last place for Zhou Guanyu. And surprisingly, alongside him in 19th is Nico Hülkenberg, the man who's been so good in qualifying over the last few years, who you can always kind of rely on to have a good qualifying in the Haas. On the back row here with Zhou Guanyu, which was very, very surprising. In 18th, it is Esteban Ocon. Now, he will be last because he's got a 5-place grid penalty from the Monaco Grand Prix that crashed with Pierre Gasly, so he will start the race from last place. Bottas in 17th, and the big name knocked out in Q1 is Sergio Perez. Another bad qualifying for Sergio Perez. This is back-to-back Q1 exits now with this and Monaco, and also back-to-back times being beaten by Logan Sargent in qualifying. I thought that maybe with that contract extension, that gives him a bit of confidence. He's not now threatened within the team. Maybe that would improve his performances. But yet again, qualifying is the downfall of Sergio Perez. But that being said, the Red Bull was struggling massively all the way through the sessions this weekend. But you still did not expect it to be out in Q1, especially when you see what Max Verstappen's doing later on. Now, I know obviously there is quite the skill gap between Verstappen and Perez. I'm not expecting Perez to do the exact same, but you'd expect him to get out of Q1. Come on now. Going into Q2 now, and there is a huge queue at the end of the pit lane because yet again there are these threats of rain, so everyone is wanting to get out as fast as they can. The umbrellas and ponchos are going up in the stands. There's rain in the pit lane, and we have an incredibly close session yet again. These are the guys who are out, though. 15th is Gasly, 14th is Magnussen. Logan Sargent has a fantastic result in 13th place. Great result for him there. Then comes the big shocker as both Ferraris are out in Q2. Leclerc in P11, Sainz in P12. Neither of them very happy. They looked like they had some pace in FP1, FP2, but coming into today and FP3, their pace was nowhere, and they were never really on it. So a big job for them tomorrow to come back from there and hopefully get some good points for the team. And if we really want to see a championship battle with the Ferraris involved, they'll have to try and salvage something here this weekend. But that is a shocker for them. Charles Leclerc 2 weeks ago puts it on pole in Monaco, finally wins his home Grand Prix. 2 weeks later, out in Q2. Now we go into Q3 here, and everyone is out on used tyres for their first laps here. And this is our top 10. It was Ricciardo in 10th, Norris in 9th, Yuki 8th, Albon in 7th, Stroll 6th, Alonso 5th, Piastri 4th, Verstappen 3rd, Hamilton 2nd, and Russell 1st. So after the first laps for everyone in Q3, it is a all Mercedes front row. The first time in a long time that Mercedes are the favourites in a weekend. That being said, it still was a very competitive session, and you could never really say for sure who was going to get pole position. But yeah, Mercedes looked strong all the way through qualifying, And then it was an absolutely fantastic battle at the end for pole position. We'll get into it now as everyone goes on to newer tyres. So in 10th is Albon. 9th is Lance Stroll. Now, Lance Stroll, fantastic job from him there. It's his best ever qualifying at his home Grand Prix. I think they said his previous best is 16th place. So to start on 9th here, very good improvement. Aston are another team who have turned up this weekend and look competitive. I'm not talking about them maybe going for the win, and maybe a podium probably out of reach unless some chaos happens, but they've come here this weekend and both Astons have seemed to be on it basically from the start, and that's carried through to qualifying. They should be very happy with that. Yuki Tsunoda is in 8th place. Another interesting thing about Yuki is before qualifying it's been announced that he has got his contract extended. I saw an interview with Horner, and basically it seems like they had an option in the contract where if the team was still happy with him, they could extend it. So it seems like it's out of Yuki's hands, but he's done a fantastic job and he's got another year with the team. In P7 is Lewis Hamilton. Now, judging off his performances this year thus far, a P7 is, quite average for him at this point. But I have to say that in the context of this race weekend, this is very disappointing for Lewis Hamilton. Both Mercedes look strong all throughout the weekend, but when it comes to the final closing bit, Lewis wasn't able to deliver, unfortunately, here. His last lap was nothing to write home about whatsoever. And in a race weekend where he should realistically be on the front two rows, he's in P7. And he'll be quite disappointed with that, and hopefully he can come back and score some good points tomorrow. Fernando Alonso is in P6, a good result for him. But the man of qualifying for me is Daniel Ricciardo in P5. Fantastic result for Daniel Ricciardo, who's got to be feeling the pressure at the minute. With Yuki being signed for another year, and with that rumour that Lawson's been promised a seat, all signs point to Ricciardo being dropped at the end of the year. And also he hasn't had a fantastic year thus far. But if he puts in performances like this, and if he's able to convert this into good points tomorrow, then it's going to be very hard for the team to drop him from there. Piastri is P4. He's 0.103 off of pole position, so very close in the top 4. Even closer in the top 3 as we go to Norris in 3rd, who was 0.021 off of the back of pole position. Then P2 is Max Verstappen, who was 0.000 off the back of pole, which is held by George Russell. Only the second time in Formula 1 history that pole and P2 cannot be separated to 3 decimal places, which is an insane statistic there. And to see that happen again today, I didn't think that would ever happen again, but here it is. Fantastic stuff. And you know what? Firstly, of course, congratulations to Russell. Fantastic lap from him. He didn't actually go faster on his second lap. Neither him or Hamilton went faster. But it did seem like Russell was a bit close. I think he was like 0.02 off on his second lap. It maybe seems like the Mercedes car struggles a bit more to get heat into the newer tyres and works a bit better on those used tyres. So yeah, fantastic stuff from Russell there. But Verstappen, fantastic again. A track where the Red Bull is struggling. It's not on the level that we'd expect it to be. And this, I think, is the Verstappen factor. To get within nothing of pole position and to be on the front row, despite the car not cooperating, despite it not being in the perfect place. Very much like when he got pole in Imola a few weeks ago. He didn't have the fastest car, and he still did it. So fantastic from him. And Norris as well to be that far off. A really close top 10, really close top 5 from everyone. Fantastic stuff. I'm really looking forward to the race tomorrow because I have no idea which way this one's going to go. It could go any way. As I'm sitting here right now, you got to think that Verstappen possibly is the favourite on the front row, but the Red Bull is definitely not the fastest car going into this race. I'd say personally, I think the McLarens are probably better in a race pace. But you can't write off Mercedes. You've got the Ferraris who are massively out of position, but maybe they'll be better if the rain does come. You've got Perez, who's massively out of place. We've got to see what he's going to do. All those guys in the top 10 should be able to fight for those top 10 positions. I think we've got a really, really exciting race on our hands tomorrow, and we'll be here to cover all of it on the channel, so make sure you subscribe for that. We're back tomorrow for the race reactions, driver ratings on Monday. Let me know who you think can win this race. I'll see you then. Goodbye.